Hello viewers, Super GT here. Welcome back to another episode of Gran Turismo Sport. And in this one, I'm going to be attempting to win a race in something other than the most dominant car in Group 3, the Porsche 911. You can see one of them up ahead there. Many people in this race are going to be choosing it. It's pretty much the best all-round car in Group 3. And I'm just going to try and topple it off of its perch by using something different. I've gone for the Audi R8, which isn't a car I've used very much, but it is a car that is decent around here. I don't think it is as good as the 911, having driven the 911 and, of course, the Audi. Driven both, and it feels like the 911 is a couple of attempts a lap quicker. I'm going to try to beat it if I can, try and win a race. And you can see for the first one here, qualifying in second. My qualifying time was a 56.6 or 156.6. At the end of lap 1, getting quite close into the slipstream range, looking up the inside and not quite going for the move. And of course, this guy here, faster, he qualified in front of me. But if we can just stick into the prime suck zone, which is around about 5 tenths behind or half a second behind, then he's going to pull me along, and hopefully I can go for the move somewhere. So again, onto the main straight. Still in the slipstream range. He moves back to the left. He's confident that I'm not going to go for the move into turn one. Actually, he makes a second move. He's looking behind for sure. He knows that I'm there, so he's kind of conscious that I might have gone for a big lunge of the century. Not that time around though. A little bit too far back through the Schumacher rest, and I make a mistake, crucial mistake. This is only the first race though. We can warm up at this point here and really get into this. Actually getting a penalty going over the gravel through the second apex of Schumacher S, half a second penalty. That's pretty much killed the race, unless I can manage to somehow get ahead of him, although he's opened up a significant advantage already. And at the end of the race, finishing in second, comfortable second really, but bit disappointing because we were in with a shout. And there it is, confirmation of the result, finishing second. Not too bad. I mean, we still beat plenty of 911s. There were still lots of 911s behind us. We go again, and we're going to attempt to win the race. From third this time, a little bit harder. We've got the same driver ahead of us. He's going to go defensive, and I'm going to try going around the outside. I know that this move is possible. You can see just how close I get to doing it, and I'm not quite able to get alongside into turn 2. And you always get that slipstream at turn 1 on lap 1. It always seems that the guy in front is always the slowest car, and almost going for the outside move I know is possible, and I think if I can put it off at least once in this video, then I'll be very happy. And we both run very wide in the exit of turn 4. That's where this Audi R8 I think does lose out, is on traction out of that corner there. Coming out of turn 4, the 911 just has so much better drivers. The Portuguese driver from the lead spins himself out, unforced error, and all of a sudden we're back as we were in the previous race, with us two here battling for the lead. So the Portuguese guy there, he was about half a second quicker in qualifying. He definitely had the pace, but not the consistency, as he drives himself straight off the circuit at turn 6 and ruins his own hopes of anything decent. But now the focus definitely shifts as we have a race on our hands here, as he's gone to very defensive. He's very, very conscious of my position behind him. I'm going to look around the outside into the Vorsteiner curve here, not quite alongside enough. You see they just didn't get the traction as much as I would have liked, and it's just that tiny difference that made all the difference, as I wasn't quite able to go for a move into that turn. But coming up the back straight into the final chicane, and he's going to keep to the left hand side. I'm going to look around the outside. I'm late on the brakes. I'm hoping to get the apex, just about get the apex for the second part of the corner, and I'm on the inside going up towards the final turn, and there we go, job done. I'm into the lead, a decent first lap, going from third to first, and I'm going to have to go defensive here. Going to sweep over to the right hand side, just about across the front of his car without making contact. And I'm going to go defensive to the right. He's actually going to follow me here, and he's going to move to the right hand side, and on the brakes there's a bit of contact, and I'm a little bit deep, and I hit my mark exactly where I was meant to, and I think he's just gone a little bit too deep on the brakes, and I get reset, sent back in time, and I've gone from first to 8th. Absolute disaster. So lap 1 was amazing, third to first, and immediately at the start of lap 2 I'm going to get dropped to 8th and then now 9th as we are on the receiving end of contact into turn 1. So not an ideal beginning to the second lap. As we lose all manner of positions, we're going to lose another one here. You can see again poor traction out of turn 4. The Mercedes up the inside. I can try and fight it around the outside. It's not going to work. So I'm down to 10th. Absolute disaster. Could not really have gone much worse than that. As we tried to look for a move here into the chicane. It gets a little bit messy here. And unfortunately, we receive a big bump in the rear end. And the German ends up on the grass. And I've actually lost another position. I'm down to 11th. And this race just really goes from bad to worse. It could have really solved the problem of the video. I could have won a race very early, and that could have been that. I could have just got on with it and maybe got back into the 911. But no, it seems like we're going to have a few more attempts if we're going to have a success in this car around this track. So this is daily race B, as we have a spinner there up into 9th. I gain 2 positions, I suppose. Try and recover some positions and some pride, if at all possible. So this is daily race B, just 4 laps. Qualifying very important therefore, as this guy goes for a spin on the exit onto the back straight. So I'm up into 8th at this point. I suppose it's a semi-decent recovery. I was in 11th at 1 point. And then this guy, I think he cut the final chicane on the last lap. Absolute disaster. I think he was about 3rd and it goes down to about 9th. Worst time possible for him. Crossing the line 7th. So disappointing on the whole there, because could have won it and it might have been a win. Here's a replay of that incident into turn 1. He just goes to the right hand side and the track just kind of pinches up a little bit there, and then he just kind of misjudged it, I think. And it was a tiny difference, just a tiny bit too late, and I went on a little bit too far. We try again, attempt number 3, this time again starting in 3rd. We've got the Portuguese driver who spun himself out in the lead. The pole here going wide on the exit of Schumacher S. That will probably land him a penalty. It did. Later on, finishing 2nd. The Portuguese didn't fancy making another mistake, so I came through 2nd with a clean race, and I became a total traitor to the realm of Audi R8s because I moved over to the 911. And on lap 2, we're looking for the move here. He goes defensive, and let's see if we can actually do this move. Deep on the brakes, you turn in, get really close to their car, get some traction. Is it quite going to work? No, not quite. I know that move is possible. It is possible, but it does rely, I think, on the driver ahead just braking a little bit too early, and you can really sweep by. As I go for a nice move into turn 3 and just edge myself ahead into the lead. And well, that was that in terms of this race. Because as we move to the end of it, I got my 71st victory, which equals me with Lewis Hamilton in terms of F1 victories. This is obviously Formula 1. And into turn 1, this is attempt number 4. Come on, Super GT, stop messing around. Can we get this win? So the pole, who we just overtook in the previous race, or not the previous race, the one before, he's on pole position here, the pole on pole. And we have the Croatian driver in 2nd in the Lexus, so something other than a 911, which is good to see. And yes, I do have my hazards on, which is probably going to annoy half of the viewers and half of the drivers who are behind me. So down through turn 5 into turn 6. Crucial turn. Let's get really close to the curb and then power out. Make sure you use all of the green Astro on the way out for maximum acceleration down the hill towards the hairpin on the brakes. And we're going to really try and take that late apex, get some straight to drive out, and you can see there, this car really difficult to manage to drive on traction coming out of the slower turns. That's where I was really having a hard time. And the 911 just has, when I drive it, it just has a much easier drivability. It just really has no drama at all. And it's very easy to manage, which is why I think it is a very popular choice. It's just very fast and very easy to drive. It just doesn't really have too much drama attached to it. So down the back straight, still in 3rd, we're still in the position that we started the race in, through the chicane, and we've just about got through there. Fine. You do really have to maximise the limits. 2 wheels on the red and white stuff and you're fine, even if your other 2 wheels are on the Astro or on the grass. As long as you've got 2 on the curb, then it's fine. That is the sort of agreed limit around here. Into turn 1, looking up the inside, it's not quite going to happen. The Croatian guy does go for a move with contact, it must be said. Strong move into turn 1. He's through up into the lead. The pole now in second. I'm going to look for the cutback on the exit of turn 2 into 3. The space opens up. He doesn't really cover it, and I'm up the inside. Through turn 3, I'm just going to slot in ahead and get myself up into second. Okay, we have a potential victory here because it's not like we're up against a 911. We're up against the Lexus RCF, which in itself is a good car for this class. I don't think it's on par with the 911. So this might be our best opportunity yet to go for that race victory. And I'm just slipping away from prime suck zone, as you can see here, as I have to go defensive. I'm not really in the slipstream of the car ahead. Into the chicane, and things are just going to, unfortunately, get a bit beyond the limits. As you can see there, as I slowed it down, just running wheels beyond that limit that I've just been speaking about, and they're getting slapped with a 1 second penalty, which obviously is not helpful. It's not really going to help my cause. I'm still going to try and fight to get ahead of the car in the lead. Unfortunately, 1 lap later through the chicane, making a big error, losing the position again to the pole. I'm going to try cutting back on the way out onto the main straight. So I still want to finish ahead, as far as I can. This probably isn't helping me overall because the more we battle, the more the people behind are going to catch up, and then there's a very good chance they'll leapfrog me with my penalty. Deep into turn 1. This is a good defensive line because you can go deep, get on the acceleration. You're on the left-hand side here for turn 2. Although that wasn't the best run, I am just about going to have the inside line. And again, it gives me the left-hand side for turn 3. So 2 left-hands in a row. You just want to be on the left-hand side coming out of turn 1, and then you can preserve your position a little bit easier. And here's that extra drivability that the 911 has, as he's just going to get alongside. He actually backs out quite sensibly. Probably not the right place to fight. Going around the outside of turn 5 is just basically never going to work. And I keep second at this point here. Still just trying to fight for my position. Last lap here. Get through the chicane nicely this time around, actually without messing it up. If I could have just done that a couple more times in this race, then I might have had a victory. As you can see on the last lap, I did manage to reel in the Lexus a little bit, but it's not enough. Over the line, I didn't brake quite early enough. It was actually very close. I think I had a 10th left, and if you have a 10th left on your penalty, you just get added a second. And if I had got that dead right, I think I could have kept second. Ultimately, I failed in my job and got another third. Plenty of podiums, just no wins. But this might be our best chance. We go again. We go once more from pole position this time. This is the best position I've started so far. Can we convert a pole into a win? It'll be our 72nd win on the game. Let's see if we can do it. Into turn 1. And not having to go defensive. I sense that the Porsche behind wasn't quite close enough to go for a move. I mean, of course, he could have just gone for a savage lunge, and I would have been eating my words, but he chose not to, and correctly so, because I don't think it would have come off very well. So, through the stadium section, or what do you call that section there? Through turn 4 anyway, or Mercedes arena section, I think it's called. Into turn 5, I'm going to really just try and maximise lap 1. All you've got to do here is really just try and break that toe. If you can get out of that prime suck zone, then you're good. If you can get away maybe by about 6-7 tenths, stop pulling the guy along behind, then you're good. On every straight, you're just giving them a tenth every time if they're in your slipstream. So you really need to try and break that toe. The thing you need really from pole is to try and establish a big lead straight away, as early as you can, and then for the guys behind to start fighting. That's the dream scenario. If the guys behind start fighting, and all he needs is just the guy in second just to make a couple of mistakes, and then the guy in third is like, okay, right, I'm not staying behind you anymore. I'm just going to really try and fight my way past you, because obviously you can't handle the pace. And then they start fighting, they start losing time, they start pulling away. That isn't happening, unfortunately. As we look behind, he's still 3 tenths behind, just moving to the right hand side really early through that kink, just to really try and minimise the slipstream. The slipstream is such a crucial tool on this game. If you can minimise the slipstream for the guy behind as much as you can, then that's all good. So sometimes you have to take some unusual lines coming out of the turns, so maybe even move to the right hand side here onto the main straight. But what I do, I actually move often very far to the left hand side. You can see just how close I get to the left. This guy is following me, But a lot of wheel users, I don't think they want to get so close to the side of the track, because it might be quite hard to control the car in a fine manner that close to the side of the track. So sometimes I employ that little tactic there, just going really close to the edge. And a lot of people don't want to slipstream you that close to the edge of the track, so you're kind of minimising their gains through there. So really defensive through the arena, keeping the position. So we're on the back foot for sure, but at this point here, just managing to keep ahead, keep our composure, keep our head, keep our cool, and stay in first place. But we have 2.5 more laps of this to do. This might be a really difficult race from here to the end, with constant attacks from the queue of 911s right behind me. In fact, there's 3 of them immediately behind at this moment. Having to go defensive into the final chicane once again. Is he going to go around the outside? Not quite. Through the chicane, not the best run at all, and I think they're getting a little bit agitated behind. Into the final turn, there comes the move, and it wasn't a great move, I must admit. Bit of contact, it's pushed me wide, and I'm going to lose ground here. 2 911s ahead. Already the third one looking to come through. And into turn 1, how is this one going to go? As we go to the left-hand side, just grazing the AstroTurf a tiny amount. It's going to push us wide. And actually, the Spaniard, who was 4th, straight into 1st. The Italian, who was challenging for the lead, now down to 4th. It's a complete role reversal here. I've gone from 1st to 3rd, and Corby here has gone from 3rd to 2nd. So things have really flipped on their head here completely within the top 4. It's a complete role reversal of all of us, as things not really going well at this point here. Going to try and challenge to get our lead back, challenging Corby into the chicane, and it goes a little bit too deep and makes contact with the Spaniard, receives a 4-second penalty. I can see that move coming from the Italian once again. I'm going to give him a car whip this time, just to really avoid that contact. And actually that's worked out a little bit better, although I think the move on the previous lap wasn't a great move. I gave him car width, but there was still contact. This one is getting really exciting, almost 3 abreast into turn 1. In fact, it is now 3 abreast as the Italian joins back in with the battle. Bit of contact, and it gets a little bit awkward. Really hard to control your car in those fine little positions there, as you all get kind of backed up all together. 3 of us side by side. It can be really difficult to avoid contact in that situation. It all kind of resolves itself quite nicely. The Italian again coming in for a big move through turn 4, and I'm going to have the inside line here for turn 5. He receives a 5-second penalty. Get wrecked, son. As sometimes, if someone comes up the inside like that, just drive wide. He's actually made contact there again. Just drive wide, get them a penalty. Although, honestly, that wasn't really what's happening there. I just kind of took the normal line on the exit turn 4, and the game just decided that he kind of pushed me wide when he didn't really. He did a bit, but not too bad. Into the hairpin. There's more contact yet again. I think the Italian's very angry as he drops down the order. He goes down to 8th position. So he really is not having a good time right now. I think my stubborn defence of this Audi R8 is kind of agitating some of the drivers behind. I finished 3rd, it's actually very close. Corby with a 4-second penalty, and I wasn't actually able to overhaul him. I was still a 10th behind over the line. So yet again, another 3rd from pole position. A little bit disappointing, but we go again. Come on, we can win a race. We can do it. We know we can. This might be a really good shout here. Starting 2nd, but the guy in the lead is in the AMG, so he's not in the 911. The AMG is still a good car around here, so it's not going to be a walkover. This is still going to be a difficult race. He's still faster than me in terms of the qualifying, obviously, because he's in front. Let's see if we can do that outside move. He's gone a little bit early on the brakes. Not quite going to be able to get it done. We do have a queue of 911s behind us. As she makes a mistake on the exit of turn 1. Kind of gives me half of an opening into turn 2. I'm not able to go for it. It takes a wide line into the entry of turn 3. A bit wider than he would have liked, but not wide enough such that I could have gone for a move. Behind us we have a queue of 911s. So this is a difficult situation to be in. I do want to get past as early as I can, make a bit of contact there. I have to back off, make sure I don't overtake him into the next turn as well. This is a really tough situation to be in. We've got 3 911s, immediately behind us, right behind us, and we have to hold them off at the same time whilst attacking this Mercedes in front. It's always a difficult situation to be in when you've got faster players behind you or faster cars and you're also trying to attack. You've got two things to think about. You've got attack and defence. Normally just doing one of them is hard enough, and we're going to be really challenged in this race. Well, at this point here, we've done like 6 or 7 or 8 races in this car around this track. We should really be acclimatised to the car, to the track now. There's no excuses for making mistakes at this point here. We've been playing for a couple of hours. We must really be able to hammer home our knowledge of this car and track by now. Really into that slipstream. Going to move to the right hand side. He's gone defensive, as he really ought to, into turn, what turn is this? Turn 13, 14, into the chicane. And he's just about kept the position. I am going to get a slight overlap into the final turn. He's left me the space, to be fair to him. I didn't really have much of a car alongside, but he did leave the room. And I'm up into the lead of the race. You can see the queue of cars swarming around behind. The 911s are eager to attack the Audi and the Mercedes here. It really is an all-German affair here at Nürburgring, with the Audis, the Porsches and the Mercedes. And you can see there again, going for that deep line into turn 1 is going to give me the left hand side for turn 2, and I'm going to be able to go defensive, and again into turn 3 on the brakes a little bit too late. And you see there's queuing up behind. That's telling me people are getting close and a little bit agitated. There really is a queue behind forming, and when you get that little concertina knock-on ramming effect where people are barging into the back of each other, just even, it's not really deliberate or anything, it's just people are close to each other and it's hard to manage that gap. You get little bumps in the rear end, that tells you that it really is queuing up behind. So now I have my best opportunity, I think, to really go for this victory. I am in the lead with 2.5 laps left to go. Can I manage this gap with just not too long left to go, although I do have the pressure. There's 4 cars really challenging me immediately behind. They are queuing up. The gap is opening up. They're not really within overtaking distance, but they are still in slipstream range as we come round onto the back straight. Really trying to maximise this turn here, the Warsteiner curve, as much as possible. Getting a hint of oversteer on the way out onto the back straight. And you see there again, the gap opening up. I'm going to stick to the right hand side. You see there. So, okay, they slipstreamed me for the first half of that straight, but as I took that weird line through the kink, they weren't slipstreaming me for the second half. That might be worth a 10th. You can see there just how close I was pushing that track limit. I was pretty much 1 pixel away from getting a 1-second penalty, which would have, of course, thrown the whole chance of victory away, unless they started murdering each other or something. At this point here, just opening up that gap, the gap 0.8, they are out of slipstream range. I really need to have a good sector here. My fastest lap there, 57.8, nothing special, but can we hammer in a low 57 or at least maybe a 56? If we can do a 56, then you're really on good race pace as we come through the arena section for the 3rd time in this race. The gap 0.9, can we just manage that? I've taken a really nice line through 3. How about 4? Yes, we can. On the power at the right moment. No drama. The gap hovering around about a second. This is an ideal situation. I just need to make sure that the bottle job does not make an appearance as we go through 5. Into 6. A little bit wide, but as long as you get the power on and maximise the track limit on the way out, then you are golden. Down the hill, gap still 0.9, a little bit further round. Gap just under 0.9, 0.8 now. Into turn number 11 onto the back straight. Crucial turn this. Very easy to get wrong, to get sucked wide onto the gravel. But we've done a good job. 26.7. It's a decent split. We could be in for a 56 here. Into the final chicane. Make sure we don't cut that one and get a penalty. We've done that. We've got through just fine. And through the final turn. The gap hovering around about a second at this point. We've had a good lap. Let's see what the lap time is as we cross the line to begin the final lap of 4. It's a 56.9. We've just broken the 57 barrier, which is good. That's a good lap. Can we again hammer in a good lap here to really get away from this guy? So this is really close, because he's 0.8 behind. If he just gets 0.5, then he's in slipstream range and he could have a shot into that final chicane. That is how close this is. I only have to make a tiny mistake, lose 0.3 of a second, and then he can slipstream me into that final chicane. That is how close and sketchy this is at the moment. So it might be looking comfortable, it really isn't. little bit further around, gap 0.9. This is the crucial corner here, onto the back straight. I don't think it's going to be close enough. The gap 0.9, unless I make a horrible error here, and I've taken it perfectly. And 0.004 off of my best. That is consistency for you as you come round to the back straight. For the final time, just the chicane left to do. Through the chicane, let's see if we do it. I've got a second margin. I can afford to really relax a little bit on those track limits. I don't have to push them to the absolute limit. Through the final turn, the gap's still a second. We're going to come through to win and finally topple the 911 hierarchy. We've come through with the Audi R8 to win at Nürburgring. Job done. There we go. Have a look at those results. Toppled the 911 off of its perch, and the Mercedes there actually coming down to 5th in the end. The Audi R8 not quite on par with the 911, but it's good to try and beat the best car in something different. Get the fastest lap as well. So overall, great racing. And actually, you see it there. I've toppled now Lewis Hamilton for wins. I've won 72. I've won more. I'm actually better than Lewis Hamilton officially now. But that is the end of the video. I really do hope you enjoyed it. Let me know your thoughts. Thank you for the support. As always, I shall see you in the next video. Goodbye.
Listen.